Hey there, I'm Eternal, and I'm an object show fan that has barely watched any object shows. We have to fix that. Let's play Object Catchup. Welcome in to Object Catchup, the series where we discuss object show episodes right after watching them. Whether they are new or old, famous or unknown, it doesn't matter. We will get to it all. Now, today's going to be a little bit of a relaxed day because we have a little bit to catch up on because basically yesterday we did the big old request revelations episode. We talked about nearly all of the requests that we got in the first couple of weeks of Object Catchup. However, that video ended up being a massive 4 hour pretty much. And even then, I still wasn't done. There's still a little bit more to get to in the request pile, as well as some other stuff, of course, releases from the fellas, which we are now following the shows of, within the past few episodes of Catch Up. So today is going to be mostly doing that. No, I don't. I highly doubt that we're going to do all of it because some of them are for different shows that have many episodes. However, we'll do what we can. All right, today it's probably not going to be a very long video. I highly doubt that it would be one. But first, we have to wrap up our recommended stuff. Okay, we have to do the last things because the first thing that we have to do is watch Still Water, or S.T.I.L.L. Water, which is a show with 3 episodes created by Digital Clocks Media. Now, this was recommended to me about, I think, 4 days ago, as of right now, or 4 to 5 days ago, by a YouTube member called Evil Diggin on Object Catchup 22. So I'm gonna be watching the 3 episodes of that show. Indeed, I am. So yeah, that's just the rhetoric. I have no idea what anything of this show is. First episode is called "These Errands Are Runnin." It was published 6 months ago. Let's go. Let's watch it. Let's do all of that stuff. Let's go. Hello, I have just come back from watching the first episode of Stillwater. So, yeah, I'm gonna call it Still because So immediately, first things I noticed right off the bat is that, of course, we've got some familiar faces because I have watched Battle for VOC, BFTOC, a couple of weeks ago, which was created by Wacky Cartoons. And well, that YouTube channel, there's a bunch of other people, Calculator, one of them. And this shares a good chunk of the contestants, or like 3 if I'm not mistaken, with this very show, which implies that either the same people are making it, or it's just kind of the same friend group. I guess we just got a total friend group that's just like, yo, we make shows here. So, fair enough. That's pretty cool. However, I'm just impressed by the quality of it because, of course, BFTOC it's on purpose, but it's on purposely pretty bad. To be honest, like it's a joke of the show minute. But this actually dared to have some quality to it, which I was immediately not expecting as soon as I saw the characters. However, we end up having some introductions. We have here a hamburger that wants to eat a chicken sandwich or whatever. Because they're hungry. So that's the hungry character. That's the gotta eat food. Okay, you see that's going on. And we got some other character. We got Just Custom, which was also in BFTOC as a random rejoiner. I'm pretty sure they had an episode, like episode 1.5, titled after them. You see, I remember roughly the shows that I watch. Of course, I watched a lot of them, so maybe I'm not going to be 100% remembering. By the way, these are relatively unrelated, I think, other than the cast. But yeah, we have Just Custom, Pixel, I think. There's captions that very much so help for the first half of the video, like the pre-intro, and then post-intro we don't have caption anymore, which is very unfortunate because yo, these captions are sick, and then suddenly nope, not anymore. Revoked access to the captions, which yeah, that's kind of a rip. We got a Topaz Cookie. We got Magic. I like Magic. Yeah, a bunch of these character designs I find interesting. Fan of Magic because they're like a magic wand, and they have this teleporting, but they're not necessarily that stoic. They seem more like kind of a chill guy, which sometimes a lot of these magician characters they tend to be like, ooh, But this one isn't very ooh, so I think that there's some possibilities. We got I don't know how to say his name, and I've been trying to figure it out. I think it's Calker because I don't know how else you would say it. Um, because I keep thinking of the word sulfur, but you don't gotta say coker, so you gotta say like um, like you just gotta. We got some other fellas as well, and then a clock pops in to host a show because yeah, we got like a Mordecai bird ripoff Blue Jay, yeah. And then the Gray, which is the host of BFTOC, we got a hat that's apparently called Dusty, maybe because they're like a worker's helmet. There's a Yo-Yo bucket, which is a bucket of yo-yo juice, I guess. That's fair. It's like I originally was thinking it was a paint bucket because I'm thinking of Asto Simbib, where there's the paint bucket character. And it's honestly, quite frankly, a very similar to the design. So yeah. Then we have the intro. The way that the intro starts is actually very solid. I can't even lie. But then it kind of just turns into a relatively regular object show intro. However, I do enjoy like the magic snap of turning the glass over and stuff. Like it does some cool stuff. This intro is generally kind of fire, and then pulling the screen down. You know. Then we do team forming as Digital Clock, DCM themselves. I don't is the host of this show. Like you see, they're pretty much it's all just the OCs character. Like it's all just the characters. It's a friend show as stated, so the character designs themselves are gonna be of the friends. Um, so I'm not going to necessarily debate if somebody's unnecessary to the cast. Like it's fine. It's all alright. And to be honest, it's pretty good variety. We got a couple of objects. We got a couple of jokier things, like squares and stuff. We got some humanoid designs. Like we've got some stuff here to work with. Then they form teams. I originally heard 2 teams. It was actually 3 teams. So they formed 3 teams. Um, while having 11 people, which means one team has 4 members, while the others end up having 3 members. So they end up deciding to team up with each other after Hamburger almost gets eaten for some reason. I don't know why. But what are our teams? So we got Dusty, Blue Jay, and Hamburger on one team. That team is a little bit of a mess because Hamburger is kind of that type of character that just call it this. It's just a blunder making character. They make errors relatively often. We have got the team of paintbug. You see what I mean? Of Yo-Yo Bucket, Pixel, Just Custom, and the Grave together. That team is okay. I don't know that much about the characters. And then there's the team of the Cookie, I think. Oh, what were you? I don't know. The human guy that was called like Bacon Boy or something. Um, and then Coker and Magic. That team is it's immediately advantage because Magic is just OP as far as this lineup is concerned, because they're just in a good spot. Like they're just in a good spot when having Magic because Magic can do more. And the challenge ends up being to fetch him an item from a piece of paper that they have. Now we proceed to start the challenge, and nobody checks what they need. Nobody checks what they need. So they're just like, okay, guys, we're going to need a item. Let's go to the store, boys. Check what you have. Oh my god, it cannot be that hard. It's a piece of paper. So the team with Blue ends up flying away to the store, which is, of course, a massive benefit. A hamburger gets left behind. However, the paper gets dropped in the sky. So they end up knowing what it is. Apparently, it's a chicken sandwich that's on there. We found that out like half the fucking episode later. The Magic team ends up having to find a basketball card. Very random item, but fair enough. We've got our shopkeeper fella, which, by the way, I really like the design of the shopkeeper fella. They actually look pretty solid and they're animated pretty well. They have the expression that they pull in this episode is actually quite solid. I hope to see more of shopkeeper guy in the future. But yeah. Then they eventually, I think they just eventually get a basketball card like in the in the store. It did not end up being that difficult, so that team just ends up being safe. Eventually, Yo-Yo Bucket manages to make it to the store by simply holding onto Blue Jay, jumping up and holding onto it last second. So that's a pretty smart plan. So they end up at the store. However, they don't have a tactic to get back to the store, which ends up being a little bit of an issue for them. However, they need like a tomato or some tomato. I don't. They need something of that caliber. So Yo-Yo Bucket ends up getting it and then just freaking makes a sprint for it because there's really not much else that they can do. So yeah, they end up making a sprint for it. Then from McDonald's, Hamburger does get a chicken sandwich, which for some reason, yeah, it's not cannibalism apparently. Ends up running. Well, not really running because McDonald's is apparently closer than the store. I'm not sure what the map is of the location, but the McDonald's is closer than the store. However, the issue is that the burger that really wants to eat the sandwich because that's what they wanted the whole day, and that makes sense, right? But it eventually does end up having a problem. Either way, the Yo-Yo Bucket does arrive first. Like, I understand that technically it got thrown at him, but either way, that team would lose on time, in my opinion. Like, sure, Yo-Yo Bucket fell over, but the item's there. You don't gotta be pedantic, Like, it was gonna be the teams get named. I forgot what the team that won got named. They were called like the Magical whatevers, right? What is the Magic Man? It's called the Magic Man, which is definitely yes. No, it's not a great team name. I gotta admit, it is kind of boring. I will definitely forget it. The second team is titled the the hell? They're called the the Terrario Pterodactyls, which I must say is also it's okay. I mean, it doesn't make sense to anything. At least the Magic Man makes sense because you got magic. The other fellas are the Perpendicular Pals, which that one makes sense because they're all the shape. So that's cool. I like that absolutely. And it makes sense while also sounding slick. And then other people are in the voting. I like how Alarm Clock appears as well in the voting screen, um, uh, doing the poses and everything. One thing I will say that I maybe am gonna find a little bit unfortunate is that what is the time? Because look, you're getting it hosted by like a digital clock, and the time is giving me vibes of extremely random. It's like mirrored sometimes or something. Yeah, or because like it says like it's 15:25. Wait, why? What time is it on the clock? What time is it saying? 25:91, bro. I don't think that's the time. No, or is it? Oh no, no, it's not 91. It's 51. Oh, 25:51. Okay, but then it's 12:25, which if you mirror it would be 52:51. Yeah, so yeah, so we're mirroring it, but it doesn't work. You can't mirror the fella because of time. Like there's a physical text there, so it doesn't work. Oh well, whatever. Who's getting eliminated? I would probably predict Hamburger because they threw the challenge at the end of the day. I mean, technically, Blue Kai threw the challenge. However, like Hamburger had the opportunity to maybe salvage a win and then didn't manage it. Ate the food. So yeah, I think there should probably be going. But pretty high quality episode. I'm pretty impressed, and honestly, you can tell by the fact I've talked about it way longer than I should. Let's go to episode 2 already. Dumbos Got Talent. Let's go. Hello, I have just watched the second episode of Still Water, and oh my gosh, that was very pleasant. I am pleasantly surprised. I was already pleasantly surprised by episode 1, don't get me wrong. Because I thought that it was a surprising quality considering what I was expecting. However, this episode has just taken it and it has elevated it to another level. First of all, that video at the end at the ship post I think, because I know I'm gonna forget it if I talk about the whole episode. That ship post at the end where the computer crashes is hilarious. There's actually no way that's actually happened. But so we have so much going on because here's the deal. These episodes are usually the most important, right? In my eyes. These like episodes, not even episode 2. Honestly, episode 2 is honestly early. But I guess there's not that big of a count. But usually I think that usually that episode like 4 to 7 range where like you've introduced the characters. Now you need to start arcs for them. Starts to become like a thing, right? Where like character like needs to start arcs and stuff. So that's always the some of the most important part, right? Because at the beginning it's gonna be a blank slate, but now you need to start arcs. And this episode's already taking steps to doing that. Dare I even say a little early, but we get to see a bunch of stuff. Starting off with the elimination. Starting off, see, dear mom, reminder that you're my mom. So true. Bars. Then eventually they get sent to the elimination, which has a custom song, which I really tried to understand what it said. What did it say? It's that time again where a friend. Wait. What does it? What did he say? Because this is a mumble. Like I'm trying to understand it. Hold on. Where you lose a friend at this cake stick like inspired ceremony. It happens every time up in the sky. Get ready, because it's time for the one and only. For the wait, for the one and only. Stay or fly. That I think that's the lyrics, but I cannot tell you because YouTube doesn't catch it, and I can't catch it with my ears either. But it was pretty solid to be honest. It was a pretty solid rap. I think it says kick a stick because you see when you say kick a stick quickly, it kind of just becomes sort of gibberish. Like at this kick a stick, you know, kick a stick, like that. It sounds like I'm beatboxing now. So I think that's what's going on. The elimination ends up being hosted by a broken heart, like literally, they're like a bandage heart. We don't know their name, but eventually both Blue Jay, which by the way this time apparently is voiced by Blue Jay themselves, which is something I was going to point out in the last episode because I was like, hold on, if like every character is just a person's character, can they just like voice it? You know, like I was just thinking, because then you would have voice variety, but it's pretty easy to do because it's just like this is your show with your friends. You know, like you can just go, yo, can you be you, right? So that's what I was already thinking. So I mean, voice acting every character makes it consistent, but it does remove some of that vocal variety. I didn't necessarily mind it, so I didn't actually mention it. But now that it's there, I'm gonna mention it as a detail that if there are suitable microphones in the creators of the characters, I wouldn't mind them potentially voicing them. I think that it'd be cool. It'd maybe be an improvement. Depends on the microphone quality, of course. But yeah, it turns out that Hamburger gets absolutely eliminated by a country, like 4 country miles. They get 9 voice. They're out. It's a pretty clear, it's a very clear cut elimination, which makes sense to be honest. So then we have our hit intro, and then we have our second challenge, which is a talent show. 5 hours. For some reason, it's always 5 hours with these shows. 5 hours is the amount of time given, no more, no less. But 5 hours to do anything, and then it's a talent show routine. Then the judge panel will review. This is a very, I mean, it's an average challenge, as in like every show at some point in time feels like they do this. You know, I've seen Object Lockdown. I'm sure it's in a bunch of other shows. BFDI does it, right? Like it's a just rating things. Yes, it's a basic object show challenge. However, I think, in my opinion, this is a good challenge always in any object show. Like it's just very clearly a good idea. So I always allow it, because like a lot of the time it's like, even if it's not that unique of a challenge concept, it is a good challenge concept because a talent show challenge gets the strong competitors to show off their strengths, right? Which is nice. Characters have to invent their routine as a team, which means that character interactions are forced to happen. You usually cannot just carry. Like there has to be some at least consideration. Like even if one person's gonna do the entire challenge, there still has to be a wide team agreement that that's what's happening, right? So and then it's very fair because everybody gets to go. It's not the type of get me this thing first, where then a team can be completely have no screen time. No, everybody is gonna do their part of displaying the talent show to the judge panel, and then they'll get rated. Like everything is fairly at least gonna. Every team gets displayed. No team left behind. So it's a very good challenge concept. So I think every show can be allowed to have one of them. You know. So then, what did they decide to do? The team with the perpendicular pals has the idea of painting, I believe, because well, we have the yo-yo bucket, which is paint. I, maybe it is a substance. I don't know what it is. It is a substance, but it could be potentially ideated as paint. Do you understand why I'm making the parallel to paint bucket from Astos Imbib? Like it's freaking the same. Like it's a paint. It's paint, surely, and it's like drawn in the same way with like the drip. Like it's if it's not an acid flip, I think, but it's very close. I can't lie. Um, but then the team of magic of the magic man obviously decides do a magic trick. That's the basic talent show thing. No, that makes sense. Yeah, correct. That does make sense. They are overusing the magic a little bit. I always think that there's like probably these teams that just have one ultra strong competitor, right? Because like Magic is a very OP character. Yes, Magic is hilariously OP. Um, they are in terms of just technical ability the strongest by a mile, right? Like if this was a pure one-on-one where nothing shady's happening, Magic just wins pretty much any type of challenge. However, the thing about it is just that in these types of team challenges, it doesn't go well very often because there's always some shenanigans being pulled, and the character that's technically the strongest nearly never actually makes it far, which I find pretty unfortunate because like, come on, bro, let the good character be good. If they're OP, yeah, let them show that off. But usually the best tactic I think for these teams should be like I understand Magic has the magic power, so let them do the challenge. However, it'd be usually better to have a backup along. So like for example, if Magic taught a magic trick to an accomplice, right, to one of the other team members, and then it was like, all right, do this, and then we'll do that, then that could be a potential backup idea. So that like Magic shows off a magic trick, and it's like, hey, I'm not the only one. Look at that. Look at my friend over here. They can also do it. So I think that makes sense because especially because you got 5 hours. You can teach a basic magic trick. So yeah, they end up doing that with they end up deciding to do a magic hat thing because why not? Then eventually the team called the pterodactyls team end up having the idea of saying about water because water is pretty good, right? Let's think about water. Let's do a little song and dance, which that would make sense. The show is called Stillwater, so I was personally expecting them to do some sort of Stillwater based song, right? Something of that caliber. Actually, I'm not doing that, but they that was my original expectation that they were going to do a song related to the name of the show, but it's not really. That immediate lore dump sign appears, just custom hit character from TSOO 1.5 isn't one character, it's actually two characters, which means that I love me some characters that are two characters. Therefore, immediate going up a tier on the tier list that I haven't made. Nah, you're not loving me. So the sign, some sort of girl character, that's apparently pretty solid, pretty good at painting. So arrives from within, from hiding, to be like, yo, we gotta win the challenge. So let me do this, okay? Yeah, he's getting upset because like, no, you can't be here. You can't do this. Then it's like, well, they're gonna win, but they're very surprised. The paint bucket fellas. Eventually, we end up the magic ends up trying to rehearse a trick, and then we get to see the invited guests for the digital clock, which end up being their parents, which are a TV, an old television, and an old clock. So then they make a digital clock. That makes sense. Which is like it's adorable. That's adorable, bro. Apparently, she was also the host of a reality show. Cause I mean, I guess they wouldn't call it an object show in there, cause that's just what they are. So that would be their reality, right? So that's like adorable scene. You get the little digital clock, and it's like, oh, that's adorable. Now you're a judge and everything. That's I love that. I love that. I mean, it makes it's not like predictable, but it's cute. Okay, it's cute. I like it. I like the environment. Sitting on the couch, a little bit. That was adorable. I really like that. Props are due. Then eventually, Sign ends up being pretty good at drawing, so they end up agreeing to that concept, and then we officially have the challenge. So the team, the pterodactyls, end up singing a song about water. What do they sing? They sing the song, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the song from Bean Show, the H2O song. Now, quick disclaimer: I haven't watched the Bean Show, of course, as is the premise of the series. Anything I haven't covered, I also pretty much just haven't watched. If it's not because I'm just that bad. I'm waiting for new episodes of that show to release until I eventually ever cover it. So I haven't watched that. So this song is I can't exactly judge this song too much, and either way, somebody else's song. But this is a cover. As far as the cover is concerned, it's a pretty good cover, to be honest, in the sense that like it's always hard to do a little bit of a cover duet, right, with the lower voice, higher voice, but it ends up working itself out pretty good in this case. So I think it works out. Um, However, I'm gonna say you do not need the whole song. Like I understand. No, I don't. You don't need the whole song. Like after, especially considering it's not an original song. Like there's no reason why we would want to hear the entirety of it. Like just play like the first half and go like, woo, we did it. It cuts off the runtime because apparently this episode was too long according to you. So you don't need to animate it as much, and we get it, right? Like as soon as you played the first part of the song, it's like we get it, we understand. This is what it is. This is what it is, right? Yeah, it's all good. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely don't think you needed the full song here, but I mean, it was a pretty solid cover, so I didn't necessarily mind. But that second half of the song could have definitely been skipped, or that first half of the song, one of the two. Eventually, they all like that. They end up giving it a 25 out of 30. We end up having the hit incidents in 2003 with water. Um, then the painting team does end up painting. It does end up as a pretty solid painting of our host here of the digital clock. I mean, it's like mirrored, but other than that, it's pretty solid. So yeah, the mother doesn't like it, but the father likes it, but they end up being they're kind of the mean judge. So 15 out of 30, not very good. I don't know if that's true. That's like half of the points. Magic is kind of nervous, proceeds that their hat ends up getting swapped over by Pixel over on the other team, on Secret. So their show ends up bombing completely. They do the spells, but they don't successfully land the spells, and they don't realize until after. To be fair, despite failing completely, somehow this guy still gets a 9 out of 10, which is crazy. I love the farmer's comment. It's hard to learn magic even if you are magic. Yeah, no, I don't. I don't think that. I don't think that we're buying that. But yeah, then Magic eventually gets mega upset at Pixel for having stolen the hat. Says that the law, bad things are gonna happen, and then they get super upset and are gonna have a battle. We're gonna have a proper, like, nobody was stopping him. Magic was about to beat his ass. All right, bro was about to become a freaking the lose resolution. I don't know. That was about to be GG. Now you have the elimination. I wonder who's getting eliminated. We're so cooked. Like, okay, Magic does does fail, not necessarily on their fault. Like, it is their fault that they didn't notice, I guess. But they get eliminated, sort of. Well, they don't get eliminated. They lose the challenge, not necessarily on their terms, but it's still a kind of like, yeah, because the likelihood that it was going to go well before was already not that high. To be honest, because they were already pretty nervous heading into it, and then the hat gets swapped, and then it's kind of over. Because the problem here isn't necessarily that maybe Magic, because like the thing about Magic is that maybe people wouldn't vote Magic that much because sympathy. It's like, no, the other guy stole him. Just keep him around. But the problem is that who would you vote for? Because there's three characters here: Calcur, Bacon Boy, and Topaz Cookie, all of which really haven't done anything. Because in the other challenge, they sort of let Magic do everything, and in this challenge, we sort of let Magic do everything. They had a couple conversations and stuff, but other than that, they haven't actively done too much in a physical sense. Which means that here, I guess Calker handed the basketball card over, but that really doesn't matter. So like in this situation, it's more like I'd be the type of person who would expect, like, if there's 20 votes, for example, I would expect maybe Magic to get 8, but the problem is that everybody else gets 4. You know, so that even if Magic isn't getting a majority of the votes, which I don't think Magic is going to get a majority of the votes, despite that, because like people are still going to vote Magic, some of them because they were rude, you know, they wanted to strangle somebody, even though valid crash out. I don't think they're getting over 50% of the vote, but I do think that nobody else is gonna manage to outnumber them, basically, right? Like I don't know who would have the bias, like maybe Bacon Boy, but why Bacon Boy? Like, you know, like it wouldn't really work. So Magic is cooked. Unfortunate, because Magic by a country mile is the strongest character in the show, but we have invented a reason for them to be eliminated in episode 2. So we are eliminating the strongest character in terms of just like power scaling immediately. So that's fun. There's an after scene with Grave. I have no idea what's going on there, so I'm not even gonna like mention it. I proper don't know. Show has fan art, show has recommended characters, all of that good stuff. We got a proper credit scene and all that stuff. Show is getting good. Show's getting solid. Yet again, I've yapped about this show for significantly longer than I had any expectation to. This show just makes me talk. Let's go to the third and latest episode, released 3 weeks ago. The cake is at stake. Oh no! I have just finished watching the third and currently, I believe, latest episode of Still Water. Did a short release. I think it might have released after. But let's pretend that doesn't exist, okay? Let's pretend the still short doing this, not because they're not going to be like good or anything, but I'm gonna treat those as non-canon for right now, okay? Because I currently don't feel like looking at 10-second videos, even though I do that for a bunch of shows. Let's pretend that let's pretend that it's not canon, guys. Not canon. Trust me, the Ask Hamburger's not canon. So we end actually no, we start off here with an episode with the elimination, actually, after we wake up to Little Heart, the The broken heart fella. So we have another episode of Stay or Fly. So it seems that the contestants who are eliminated just end up staying in the air, sort of just dangling from there. Which I swear that's one of the BFB eliminations, right? Is that one of the BFB elimination? Well, I don't know. But either way, we end up having an elimination based on percentages because you can vote more than once. If I knew that back in the day, I was gonna put 1 billion votes on anybody other than Magic because it was gonna be fire. It was gonna be the most incredible clutch. I was gonna make it 100,000. Nah, that would take like 5 hours. I mean, surely. So, I mean, yeah. So if somebody really wanted to, they would make a macro. So that's like very bad. That's like big mistake to be honest. Like that's like error. You know, like that's bad. If somebody could just make a macro vote like 1,000 times. Like it's not like not they're very long. Like it's not. It's a pretty elite tier mistake to make. It's not good. But we end up seeing that well, the funny thing is, last time I was talking in percentages for like no reason at all. I was just kind of talking in percentages to like explain my point a bit better. However, then it turns out that in this episode it actually is percentage based, which is like what? And it does indeed turn out that Magic does not get under 50%. In fact, it's under 40% of the total vote. However, gets eliminated because of a split decision within the other department. Exactly. I am correct. I am pretty good at this predicting stuff. Sometimes, depending on the show. There's some shows where I nail it. This one I seem to be pretty good at it, but there are some shows where I get it super wrong. Like there were some shows where I got, I think, 0 eliminations correct. I was like Anno Sim. Anno Sim, I'm mentioning it again. I think in Anno Sim, I got 0 correct elimination predictions. But like in shows like this, I did pretty. I'm doing pretty solid. But then Magic ends up getting eliminated, and it's like, no, it's okay. I want to apologize to Pixel. Why do you want to apologize to Pixel? What? What did this guy steal your whole thing, get you eliminated, not apologizing, disrespecting your Magic culture, and you're like, no, I want to apologize because I'm a better guy now. No, sometimes bad people are bad. What the hell? Nah, that ain't right. You too soft. You're too soft. Magic, what are you doing? You're about to get eliminated anyways. But why are you trying to get sympathy? You're not going to rejoin because the rejoin is always the first person eliminated. So in episode 10, it's not going to be you anyways. So like this is sympathy vote. We're trying to gain sympathy for like 10 episodes down the line when Magic is going to go like, guys, I need to apologize to the Pixel. No, guys, a bitch. Okay. Anyways, speaking of which, if I'm not mistaken, in this episode we also have Magic voiced by Magic, which means that we're starting to see, slowly throughout the episodes, we're starting to see more of the voice actors voice themselves or somebody else. I don't know who. I heard there was like a. I saw in the credits that somebody else was voicing Pixel in this episode, so they didn't just take the VA and didn't just take the regular voice and put on a pixel effect over it. They just like got a different VA. But I don't think that VA is the person who created Pixel. I think that's a different person. So yeah, I still would absolutely not mind if the character creators themselves, considering that's kind of the show, got to voice their own characters. I think that'd just be cool. Even if it maybe makes a less professional product, like it's solid. Like it's just fun. It'd be more fun. Anyways, goodbye, Magic. You end up getting eliminated. Then we have an updated intro. I must say I'm not too convinced by this intro. I can't lie. Cause what is happening? Like we end up having like an every intro combined thing. It's like the start of every style of intro, basically. It's like if you combine every intro, like at the same time. Like I think I even see a little bit of animatic in there and all. So like it's just a very large combination of intros to make this intro, but it just ends up that everybody's moving so quickly that it makes a little bit of a mess. So the other intro I kind of prefer it a little bit entirely because it's more generic, but it's more interactionally, like the fact that we don't get like the cup has spilling and stuff, and then the screen getting pulled down, like it's just kind of it's kind of unfortunate because I thought that part of the intro was really cool, but this new intro doesn't really have like that as much, other than the cup getting thrown at the screen. So it's not like I kind of prefer a bit less. My that's I think my general opinion of the episode. I think episode 2 was a bit cooler, to be honest. I think this episode maybe played too much into. Okay, here's the. I'm not. It's a bit hard to say because this show is not a joke show. It's not. That's not what it is. It just isn't. Like I don't think it's way too non-joke to be a joke show. But I think this episode maybe amps up the joke status a little bit much. Especially on the whole, like, oh, character be a freaky, like when people say that, all right, which I don't ever say that. That's like the first time I ever said that. But like, I think it's playing into that a bit too much because it does that like 4 times in the episode, which is like, bro. Um, which, yeah, that's like a thing. But in general, we end up having the challenge of yet again being a pretty similar challenge. Make a cake. Pretty simple. Decorate it and take it to the players who are sitting. No. Bake a cake. Then the judge panel is going to be here to review it. I do enjoy the return of the judge panel. I would have maybe I would have maybe stalled it a bit because while the parents are cool, maybe as a constant presence, maybe like less so because you end up having the more you write of them, I guess the less like special each writing becomes. So I would have maybe made it like episode 4 they can come back. It's like, oh hey, they're back. But like in episode 3 it's already, they're still here. Like I like them, but I really like that. I just like put this episode as 4 and then had one in the middle where it's more different style of challenges than the whole judging thing again, right? Like we gotta have different styles of challenges. Even though I said that I do enjoy judge panel challenges because everybody gets to go, you can't have that be the only type of challenge that you have in your entire show. No, you got to have some other stuff as well. So I would have probably stalled out this challenge to another day. But eventually we have the team doing it. Banana Cake is the team that what the pterodactyls are gonna do. Meanwhile, the team with the what the hell are they called? The perpendicular piles end up choosing to make a very basic cake according to the sign, because the sign's just here now. The sign did not leave. The sign, everybody was just cool with the sign. Yo, sign. I'm surprised because I thought what was gonna happen, like my initial idea was like, oh shit, sign gotta kind of be hidden, because if the sign not hidden, then the host is gonna realize, and then it's gonna be like, wait, shit, you are not one character. I need to do something about this. You disqualify or whatever, right? I thought the host's gonna have a problem with it. The host hasn't noticed yet, but I thought like we were gonna hide it a bit more so that the host does not notice. But either way, I mean, in the last challenge, they Sign was the one doing the entirety of it, so that makes sense. Sign ends up being a pseudo team leader and ends up deciding that they're gonna make a chocolate cake. No, nothing weird about it. Chocolate cake. Yo-Yo Bucket pops in the solid idea of doing a yo-yo cake. To be honest, it's a good idea. Yo-Yo cake, at least in the BFDI universe, is pretty well received cake, right? And like the hardest part about making the yo-yo cake isn't necessarily the other ingredients that you're adding to the yo-yo cake, it's the yo-yo itself, because the yo-yo berries are only present in yo-yo land. However, you just so happen that you have a yo-yo bucket right there, so it's honestly it would be a good idea. It'd be a cake that nobody else can do. It'll make an interesting flavor that's, however, pretty well revered. And it would be solid. So I think Yo-Yo Bucket definitely had the solid idea there. Now the challenge of making a chocolate cake, an ultra basic one, would not have worked. But it just is it's less win try. It's like it's that type. Science has invented the type of strategy you do when you really want to get second place. You really want to qualify as second because you qualify as first a bit much, right? So that's the type of thing that they're inventing. Then eventually we end up having a cookies and cream cake created by the other fellas because the baker boy ends up deciding, yo, we're gonna make magic themed cake. It's gonna be great and all that stuff, which makes sense. It's cool. It's gonna get some sympathy points for, yo, you guys like your teammate. Let's go. So they end up doing that, and then all of the shopping ends up being done. Sugar boy. I mean, you are a cookie, I guess. I guess you could. That is a valid name. Pixel, by the way, is has the new voice that's pixelated. What do I think of that? I think that's fine. It's maybe okay. It's a little harder to hear. It's a bit awkward. Like if Pixel was like that from the beginning, I'd go, "Oh yeah, perfect sense." But now it's a little bit more awkward because Pixel is like there from like the beginning in a like because then we get to hear Pixel properly, and that's going to be a bit harder to hear Pixel from now on. Just simply because, of course, if there's ever a mumble, it's going to be harder to hear because the pixelate is going to make it even more mumbly. But eventually, they go put it in the oven. The banana cake ends up getting made. So then, what happens, however? With the perpendicular paths, they accidentally send the oven into overdrive. And it's like, shit, we gotta get it out of there. But then they can't get it out of there. They pull it out, they can't get the cake out of there, and then it ends up as ash. They made one grave mistake. They made one grave mistake in this challenge. Right? So stuff going wrong happens. But the thing about it is that when, for example, an oven gets stuck, or let's say a stove top gets stuck or whatever, right? The immediate idea isn't to try to stop the stove, it's to get whatever is there out of there. Like if the immediate, like if you're, I don't know, on a fireplace and the fire is getting too big, it's too warm, right? The idea isn't to lower the fire. The idea is to get the pot out of there. So that's absolutely, they just did the wrong order of things. Like, take the cake mix out of there once you notice the problem, and then you can go dissect the oven. I understand that you want to keep the thing cooking, but it's going to turn into ash if it's on maximum overdrive mode. Like, obviously. So they make that absolute error, very bad error, and they end up losing the challenge pretty easily. For some reason, the clock guy, the clock father, ends up liking magic for some reason. I don't know why. These fellas have like some lore to them. They're like trying to do lore, but yeah, they end up they like magic, I guess. But eventually they eat pretty solid, even though it still gets second. And then yeah, the team with that, try to eat ash, it doesn't work. Wow. So then we have those fellas: Grave, Pixel, Just Custom, and Yo-Yo Bucket. This elimination might be the first elimination in this show that has the mildest amount of question to it. So episode 1 was obvious. Episode 2 was obvious. This episode is not quite as obvious because who threw? Just Custom threw. The challenge is lost by Just Custom. Okay. That's absolutely true. Um, that's kind of the issue. they throw the challenge by having everything is going great, and then they turn this lever, and then the oven gets stuck. Is it necessarily their fault that they didn't expect that the oven wouldn't be able to turn back? It's not really. So it's like it's their fault. I feel like it's not that bad of an error to make. Like it does end up bad because there's no way to turn it back, but it's not like an error that's like obviously an error. Like why would you do that, right? It's like an accident, like an accidental mistake, right? Rather than like, for example, hamburger eating the chicken sandwich, you can't do that on accident. Like you just got, like that's a decision. Justin doesn't make the decision. Yes, I'm gonna get the oven stuck. No, that happens on accident. So they have a chance to be safe. Grave just isn't here. Grave just isn't in this episode. They're not part of the team. They're just not here. In the last episode, they were in the bendy room researching whatever. I proper did not understand what the hell that was. So that's the situation. They could get eliminated for simply lack of presence. So that would make sense. People don't like usually when a character isn't present. So they've also got the danger, and Pixel's got a decent amount of danger as well. Because it depends if voters are remain stuck, like if they hold the magic grudge of magic, right, of being like you cheated magic, girl, then a Pixel can definitely still go home because, in my opinion, Pixel's 1000% in the wrong. Magic still, what is Magic doing? I'm so sorry. This guy's like, yes, I am gonna apologize. Why? Why would you do that? This guy deserves zero apologies, showed zero negative remorse, negative apologies, bullshitted everything, and you still gonna go there and apologize? What the fuck are you doing? But either way, me personally, I probably vote Pixel because fuck off. The only person that's 100% safe is Yo-Yo Bucket. There's no way Yo-Yo Bucket gets them. Yo-Yo Bucket didn't do anything wrong. Like Yo-Yo Bucket suggested a good idea before it got disregarded, and then just simply helped, like tried to help Just Custom get the thing back, get the oven back. Didn't work, but like there was a overall helping of the team. If if her ideas or if their ideas, I don't know the gender, I'm so sorry, got used like properly, I think they've honest that team was winning, in my opinion. They made the yo-yo cake. Honestly, I mean, okay, I guess they would lose anyways, regardless of what they make, if they have an incident that still happen. But the idea of making a yo-yo cake would have, in my opinion, worked for sure. And I also am quite interested at the fact that that's a suggestion, anyways, because Yo-Yo Bucket seemed pretty damn reluctant. Like they allowed it, but they seemed kind of reluctant to just let their paint get entirely used in the last challenge. So the fact that like the paint bucket, the Yo bucket is once again like is straight up being the one to recommend, like, hey, we should use me. Then it's like, wait, they didn't like that. So that ends up a little bit weird. Like, hold on, what are you going on? But it's fine. And then we have the end of the episode. So what do I think the show? What do I think of the show as a whole? Because we already talked about. Dude, look at this segment. I don't know why I'm talking about the show for so long. Anyways, this is pretty cool. 2BH. It's it's a cool show. Honestly, I'm impressed by it. It's got some solid animations. It's got some interesting plot beats. I'm not sure if it's too focused on any, to be honest, because it's kind of saying things about this character and about that character and about that character, but I'm not sure it's too focused on making any specific arc happen as a whole, right? Because it was like I don't know, it seems a little bit unfocused maybe in that department. I thought episode 2 was great. Episode 2 was amazing. It was like it did everything the right way to set itself up for success. Do I think this episode has continued on? No, not really. I don't think we've done that much. Like I like what's going on with the Magic team, to be honest. I mean, I don't like Magic themselves because they absolutely should not be apologizing. But the Magic team, I like it, avenging them and all that stuff. So I like that team, but then I do maybe like the thing with Sign, although I think we've rolled along with it a bit too quick. Like you're there, but I thought you were meant to be hidden. We never even get to see the whole conversation that Just Custom and the Sign were gonna be having, because like you're not supposed to be around my friends, and it's like, okay, now you certainly are okay with it. Like, no, and now what's going on? I want to know what happened. Let me know. What the hell? Like, you can't just new character drops in that was supposed that you were trying to hide from everybody, and now that was like suddenly okay. It's like, no, wait, what? What's how? When? Why? What? You know? Um, and then also the hosts themselves. Maybe we're gonna need to see. It's episode 3. Which I still think is early. I think by like the next episode, as I previously said, that like 4 to 7 range, I think is super important, because that's like the range for a show of this size. Of course, in a bigger show, it'd be more like 10 to 14, but this is like 4 to 7, where it's like we've started, dwindling down our contestants. The first batch are out. The first batch, like one per team ish, is out. Now start forming arcs, alliances, enemies, friends, relationships. Because apparently we're doing that here, right? All of that jazz, like just that stuff. We need like that stuff needs to be happening. Like we're in a reality show. This is a reality show. Um, and that's when this stuff starts to form. We've gotten to know the people on our team, but now we need to start forming extra plans that are not just do well in challenge, right? This is the moment where people start stepping up to the plate, either to be a villain, to be a hero, to be a follower, to be a leader, to be. Because currently, I don't think any team is doing that. And I think it's time. That's all I think I've got to say about Stillwater. It's a cool show. It's very solid. More people should voice act themselves. And that's all. Next. All right. So remember what I said at the beginning that I was gonna be catching up with the shows from the previous creator. The creator that we've already covered. Nope. I decided to not do that today. Why? Because I'm just busy. I'm busy. It's already quite late, so we're not gonna be doing that. All right. But we are going to be taking a look at our last request. So the last request that we got was from a fella titled Mustard Tail. All right, Mustard Tail, which I don't think that comment is still up. I think that comment has been deleted for some reason. Don't delete requests. What are you doing? Come on. I already read it. It's too late. Y'all people deleting comments. Like, too late, bro. So I'm gonna watch the request whether it's late or not. So this is titled the TSOO 1A. It is titled Gay Interracial Couple, so it seems to be a joke show, I think, based on just the thumbnail and all of that stuff. It is made by Dave Minecraft 69420 is back, which is the recommender of Object Point from yesterday. So maybe one of their friends came along and suggested I watch this until eventually revoking that statement and getting deleted or whatever. But we will be taking a look at it right here, right now. TSOO18. Let's go. I maybe understood 3 words of what I've just heard. Like, like on no. To be honest, that's like almost too nice. That's like 3 words. Not 3 words, maybe. Yeah, no, there's no way. I even understood that amount. I understood way less. I mean, wow. I did not understand anything of what I just heard. Just like nothing. Genuinely, I heard apparently there was a balance beam challenge ideated, and then that was a problem. And then eventually there was a microwave challenge, and something happened, and then much larger battle. They win, I guess. They win. I don't know if they win or they lose. But I no. I don't know anything that was said. YouTube doesn't either. You can check the YouTube captions. It did not do it anyway. So I'm around at the same level of understanding as YouTube themselves, which is none at all. But yeah, I mean, look, my recommendation is make your object show listenable, because like, even if you're trying to do a joke object show that's bad and has like dumb jokes and stuff, it's not going to be funny if I can't hear the joke. It's not going to be funny if I can't understand a joke. Like, even if you're making like a brain rot joke. Like, imagine if we were making, I don't know, 6-7 joke, right? Like, you still, like, if I can't hear it, I can't find it funny. Like, nobody can find it funny if they can't hear, if they literally can't understand the joke. Like, they physically impossible to do. So, I mean, absolutely just like, bro, you know? Do something. Because this ain't it. This life tough. Um, but yeah, there's really nothing else to say. Like, the request was redacted, but You can never escape me. Ha ha ha. Okay. That's all I think I got to say. Let's do our outro of the day because there's nothing else really to say for today. Let's go. And there we have it. That is going to be all for today's installment of the Object Catch Up. It's a mini one. It's I believe the shortest one. However, it just arrives after the longest one. And to be honest, today ended up being way busier than I was expecting. I ended up being away for multiple hours, so I couldn't exactly get to cover anything else. So we have just about reached an hour, wrapping up the previous requests. So that'll do. It'll be a mini episode, and then tomorrow we'll cover it. So I'm sorry that what I said in the intro was wrong. We are not catching up with our previous creators. We are finishing the request. We're wrapping it up, as we say. Thankfully, the Stillwater section still took about an hour, so we have got a regular length object catcher. Because I've been doing so many 2 hours lately that um, we're almost forgetting that this is the usual length. Like this is what it's supposed to last. It's not supposed to last like 4 hours as the other one did. This is a little bit of this is a balancing act. Okay, today's a balancing act. It's all solid. Um, like we good. All right. So yeah, that's all I've got. We're all caught up on the requests. We'll be back for more tomorrow. Goodbye.